We are mostly bacteria. So there are so many things that the gut controls. It's extremely important for us to maintain a good, healthy gut balance. The number of diseases that the gut microbiome influences is enormous. So there is a tremendous influence of bacteria on our well-being.
So I invite our next stellar speaker, that is Dr. Ajoy Prabhu. He's a co-founder and CTO of the Circee Health Private Limited, DCA MS Pathology, MBA Marketing, member of Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.
I am going to talk about the importance of gut health. I'm going to start with a story here. And the story is of a sister, two sisters actually, twins. And one of the sister was depressed. And she couldn't figure out what to do about it and so on and so forth. And at some point in time, she was consulting a physician, and the physician said, "Oh, you have a twin, right? And the twin is very bubbly and bouncy." So she was always very happy, and this woman was always depressed. But she asked for basically giving a little bit of her poop to her sister. It's called FMT, fecal microbiota transplant, which basically, you clean the poop out and give only the microbiomes from that poop. And this lady got the stuff, and she became happy. The power of the gut is unreal. We never realized it for the longest time. There have been incidences since like about 100 years. We've known that the gut can do something. We're not quite sure what it is. We've talked about longevity, we've talked about immunity, we've talked about mental health, but it's always been if you look at the research papers, you'll see that there are little snippets of data. The gut can help with the immune system. The gut can help with, your mental stability, or in this girl's case, her depression went away, right? So she gave her her own gut bacteria. So what exactly is gut bacteria? Gut bacteria, here's a sad little man showing his entire entrails out. Gut bacteria are actually outside of our body. They're not inside our body, believe it or not, because we have the same kind of cells that we have outside, we have the same kind of cells inside. So basically the gut microbiome is sitting on the outside of us, because the reason I'm saying that is because, so that's the gut, and I'm saying that because the bacteria are inside there, right? But there are no bacteria in our flesh. There's nothing. I mean, it's a bad thing if you have bacteria in your muscles and so on, in your brain and so on. Okay? So we have no bacteria there. Bacteria are all residing in there. But I am going to argue here that are we more human or bacteria? People will be shocked to find the truth. So here's the human body. What percentage of human cells? So we are made of human cells, right? So what percentage of human cells are we, do you think? 30%, 60%, 80%? So we made of bacteria and human cells, and less than like 20 to 30% are human cells. We are mostly bacteria. I am standing here, I'm mostly bacteria. Like if you look at the number of cells that I have more bacterial cells than human cells inside me. Okay. Now it gets even worse if you look at the genes from the bacteria versus the genes from human beings. Now if I just count the number of genes that I can get from all those bacteria, and the genes that I can look at my own genes or another human being, that gets it's magnified even more so. So that's right there. That little thing is human genes. Everything else is bacterial genes. So there is a tremendous influence of bacteria on our well-being. So it's extremely important, and we've been realizing it. Like I said earlier, we've been realizing that this is important, but we never really paid so much attention to our gut till recently, very recently, right? In middle school, high school, we've learned that the brain controls the digestive system. So there are some nerves that do some transmission, and it tells us about hunger pangs and so on and so forth, and we digest food, etc., etc. We've known this for a while, right? Very recently, we've known about one particular nerve called the vagus nerve for a while, that it actually sends signals back towards the brain, and we were like trying to figure out why is that the case, right? In addition to that, there are other compounds, like one of the compounds like neuropeptides. There are like little compounds that actually are made by bacteria, and those compounds create a signal back to the brain saying, "Do this, be happy," or the immunity is better, or whatever it is. The gut actually controls the brain using some of these chemical signals, as well as some of the actual nerve signals. Okay. The number of diseases that the gut microbiome influences is enormous. I'm not even going to read through these. I mean, this is just a litany. This is actually, it's not, I just got tired of writing. I mean, I said, I'm just going to put down some and finish it off and stop. But I just wanted to put some of the major ones. So you see some of the things that you would have normally not expected. Diabetes is here. Asthma is here. Skin conditions are here. I mean, where is the gut and where is the skin condition? I already talked about mental health disorders, right? With that girl. So there are so many things that the gut controls. It's extremely important for us to maintain a good, healthy gut balance. I mean, so we have to have we basically think of it as fertilizer. We need to give our gut some good fertilizer so that the good bacteria grow, and get rid of all the other stuff that promotes bacteria that we don't want in our system. And there are several bacteria. By the way, I also have to say that I believe no more than 1% or 2% of the bacteria that we have in our gut we actually know about them. Because traditionally how we do it is we take the poop and we plate it, we take it to the lab and we plate it, or we do some things to it and grow the bacteria. Okay, so if we know how to grow the bacteria, then we see the bacteria. If we don't, if the bacteria does not find the food that it's looking for, it will never grow. So as a result, we human beings, we as scientists and doctors, do not know what kind of bacteria actually we still have in our gut. Okay, we kind of have an idea now because we can do certain things like proteomics and genomic analysis and mapping to see what kind of bacteria these might be. We cannot grow them. It's like you go touch a wall blindly and say, yeah, there's something here, but we don't know what it is. It's that many bacteria we have that we don't even know any idea about. But what we know is what they like, and what they like is. So let's just talk about some. These are very, very basic. There are bacteria. Some of the bacteria I just named: Lactobacillus, E. coli, Bifidobacterium. These are good bacteria. We want to encourage these bacteria, not E. coli 0157, but some of the other ones. Then there are some bad bacteria that you may have heard. Diseases-causing bacteria, right? Clostridia, Salmonella, Helicobacter, Vibrio. These are the bacteria that cause Vibrio, for example, causes cholera. So you don't want these bacteria in your body. So what can you do to reduce this and increase that? It's a very simple. I mean, it's simple to say, but harder to practice. However, if you try hard enough, you might be able to do this, and you should be able to do this. Not might be. First of all, we need a scaffold like a ladder or like a building material onto which these bacteria can attach themselves, and those are called prebiotics. Okay? Leafy green vegetables, beans. When beans are chewed up, they become phenomenal places for bacteria to hide and grow in. Then we need something called probiotics. Probiotics are the ones that actually encourage the bacterial growth. All right. So fermented foods. I mean, for probiotics, the main ones are basically fermented foods. So I've listed them. Any kind of fermented foods. Of course, I being a Konkani, I have to list out the idli and dosa and all. But dhokla and kava and tofu. Even tofu is fermented. So these things have precursors that these bacteria love. So you need to have those. Fresh fruits, root vegetables are also important. They actually encourage the mucosa. In the gut we have some mucus, so that it helps with the mucus. And then of course some of the other what we call ancient grains outside, but millets and coarse grains. Even rice is good, as long as it's not like this ultra polished rice. It's excellent for health. All right. If it was not, then half of China and Japan would be sick, right? Now, what should we avoid? Try to avoid any of this listed here. So, any animal-based product, whether it's actually meat, whether it is actually dairy, whether anything coming from an animal, is pro-inflammatory. We don't want that in our body. Our body just does not. I think it's just that our body. I can go on for hours on this. I know, but just trying to make it simplified. Our body just is not compatible with these compounds. Okay, and I've already talked about dairy. So all these ultra-processed and processed foods and refined foods that we have, unfortunately, I love the save and ghatia and all, but you have to try to minimize these things a little bit, because these are really they actually can inflame your gut microbiome, your gut itself, and as a result, you will have more tendency to not have the kind of good bacteria that you should have in your gut. All right, and then this as the last slide. This is not just about food; it's also about eating a diverse range of foods. So, for example, we talk about colored foods to our patients quite often. We tell them about what kind of foods that you should be eating. Lack of probiotics, so fermented foods, very important. Lack of physical activity, I cannot stress this enough, because for example, if you're just simply walking, you're actually moving your gut muscles. So it helps, massage it, if you will, right? Alcohol, drinking too much alcohol is absolutely not a great idea for your gut. Cigarette smoking is likewise. Antibiotic use, my wife and I are like big proponents of this thing. We just like go crazy when we see people just taking an antibiotic for a cold and so on and so forth. And it's a hard battle, but we need to keep fighting it, because antibiotics just there was one study I read in I don't remember where it was, but said the first dose of even ampicillin takes about 6 months or something for the gut microbiome to recover. Just the first dose of your simple ampicillin, it messes it up. Not getting sleep, that's again it's a stress causing. So again, too much stress. So that's pretty much all I have. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhu, for an extremely illuminating talk.